Greetings, everyone. Core here, and this is the final sixth episode of Fully Cooley Alternative, which has been, I gotta say, after just finished watching it and going back a few scenes and like trying to clarify what the hell happened, or did I see what I thought I saw? Um, Pretty much, it ended amazing. Definitely rivals, if not su- surpasses uh, the original Fully Cooley as far as the ending. The last episode, especially, just the way that it all, everything just sums up and comes to a fold. It's pretty much, yeah, the first one had a great ending too, but this one is, someone, it's a message pretty much for everyone. Everyone that grows up, even more than like the first Fully Cooley that dealt with more puberty and growing up. This was he's turning into an adult and realizing why you acted pretty much the way that you did, even though you didn't mean to. And it's just a great episode. I mean, the whole series, this alternative, Fully Cooley alternative, definitely is, I will say, better than the original. I mean, the original is its own unique thing, but as far as the topics and the story and everything, I think alternative does it better. Um, Visually, I mean, Fully Cooley, the original one, was just, I mean, out of this world. It was nuts and crazy, especially for the time that it came out in, and what it ended up doing. This one was more. There was not as much digging you have to do, pretty much, with alternative compared to the OG. But man, this ending. If you see my screen title, my title card for this episode, you get a little taste of what happens. I did change it up from the other ones, just because there was just so much epicness going on, and this is going to be spoilers if you haven't seen it. So, I highly recommend seeing it if all six episodes if you haven't yet. But yeah, I'm talking about everything right now. So pretty much, all right. Episode one, introduction of the four main leads. I mean, really, it's okay. Yeah, it's kind of mostly, but she really, I mean, it's like this episode was just great. It got me, almost got me. Uh, I was very close to it, uh, to letting out some emotion, but man, like everything just there's a lot of callbacks. There's a very okay. The one thing I won't spoil, uh, I mean, I'll partially spoil it. In this episode, there's pretty much, like I said, everything's coming to a full. It's the aftermath of Pet's leaving, and just what she's been doing, and just how she's been dealing with it, and it seems so realistic and relatable in a way that it makes you connect further, and then finally, she has this moment where pretty much it's life or death. It's the extinction of the world, or not. She's pretty much the last hope because there's no stopping these giant irons. They're active, they're going, and it's interesting to see them actually working. Because before in the original Fully Fully, they just had like Naota had a dream or image of what was gonna happen, what they do. But this one actually shows destruction of them actually activated, and it's pretty scary seeing them just flatten everything. Making the world smooth. Just like what they want to do to people's brains, make it smooth so they can't think for themselves. And man, like it was great. Her little realization, her emotions being let out, the way that she worded everything. I mean, the way that everything was just written was just. It felt like, the first Fully Cooley. It's a lot of stuff that the director, the writer, they were able to translate and um, show and just give meaning to words and actions that you've done. Everyone pretty much, in their life, and adding and making that connection. So, I mean, kudos to you guys, because that was pretty. That had some connection with me too. Even though, yeah, it's a female lead, but still, it's like we're not much different. I mean, especially growing up and all that stuff. It's just, we go through the same kind of troubles and heartbreaks, um, issues and challenges, and it's crazy. um, but yeah, so she has this moment, this epic moment. It just everything is just so crazy. The scale of alternative is so much bigger because it's more of the city involved. Her friends. The original was Naoto, Mamimi, Haruko, and Kante, pretty much. The father and the uh, what's her name from school? The class rep. Yeah, they're involved in stuff, and yes, friends, but they're not as involved as this, where you have main 4, 5 person, even 6 person crew that are all sharing equal screen time and having their own story. And like I said, at the end, there's this giant wormhole, which does, like I said, I'm not gonna spoil the one part of it, but pretty much, uh, they get transported through this time space wormhole because they're trying to activate her to send. For the last episode, she absorbed a giant, medical mechanica machine. So they're trying to do the same thing into her to transport somewhere else, and they're trying to do that with the giant iron, and it works, but it works in a different way. Pretty much, episode starts. A lot of there's these last arc shuttles that are being blasted off to space because there's been this sub story of Mars and colonization and trips to Mars and all that stuff. So the government just pretty much, picked everyone, and that was one reason why Pez, was it Pez or Pets? I forget. Uh, she left because her family, I guess, is very, high up on the chain, and they got chosen, and they ended up going, and that was one big reason, why she has this breakdown. It's just like, fuck. But pretty much, from they don't quite say it outright, but from what I could gather from the ending, so it ends kind of how it began, where it's her narrating, the story of how the sky, was orange or yellow, too yellow. It hurts her migraines. Her eyes don't adjust to it because she's been crying all night. Um, but she will, deal with it. She will adapt. She will survive. And the same kind of thing happens at the end, but one big difference, well, two big differences. For one, the image that they show of Haruko out in, a rocky area is different. It's not the same. And she doesn't call the sky, the orange yellowish glow hue. She calls it pink, which, if you think about it, what planet would have a pink sky? And that would be Mars. Granted, of course, it'll probably be more reddish pink, but if it had an atmosphere and stuff, it would be pink, reflecting, most of the ground, because there's not really that much water there, and that's why, our sky is mostly blue, because 70, we got a ton of water, and it just reflects up and makes it blue, as well as the, vapors and stuff in the air. But Mars is different, and mostly Mars would have, a pinkish sky. So, like I said, pretty much what she ends up doing is transporting the whole town. From what I could gather from the ending, because the intros and endings are, you know, literally just jump right into the story, and it's just the credits rolling over it. But yeah, so pretty much she transports the whole town. Everyone that was in there left, that was left in the town, to Mars, so she could wait for pets to come, so she could truly say her goodbyes. Um, that, as crazy as it sounds, was pretty epic. It's very, if you don't pay attention, and if you don't try to break it down, it would kind of, fly past you. You would think, maybe she just reset time, because they talk about this is gonna mess with the time space continuum, which, yeah, time often is, relative to space, and space and time usually, are interchangeable, as well as, they could affect each other. So, uh, you think it's like, oh, it's just she just reversed time, but for one, Pez is not there. If you go back and watch the first episode, you see little hints and stuff as well, to what pretty much is gonna happen. Well, not completely, but just these random little doodles and stuff. And when you get to the end, it's like, when I realized it, it was like, what? She took the whole town to Mars, which is nuts, to say the least. Um, and I couldn't tell. I mean, it looked like Earth ended up still getting, flattened, because there's supposed to be, dozens or hundreds of these, giant irons around the world. So, I mean, yeah, you stopped one, but still more. So it looked like, a giant blue marble, pretty much what Earth would probably look like if it was completely flattened and ironed out. But she ended up taking her own town and, going to Mars. So I don't know what's gonna happen. There's no talks of any more Fully Cooley seasons, more stories, because honestly, I don't know what they're gonna go from this, unless they, somehow, flesh out the whole, what Haruko's alien race, and, her planet and stuff like that. But yeah, it is nuts, to say the least, and I loved it. Loved every second of it. Like I said, there was maybe only one episode I really didn't care for too much, but all of them were amazing. And the animation, the styles, the voice acting, just, everything just came together so well. So much better than uh, Progressive. Granted, I might have to go back and watch Progressive again, but Progressive just doesn't. It was not as good as what people say. Alternative is definitely far superior. It rivals, if not surpasses, the original Fully Cooley, and I'm I'm glad it does, because sometimes people just think these are just cash grabs, and you could tell there was effort, and maximum effort was put into this one. So that's all I gotta say. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Sorry if I spoiled anything, because I just had to talk about some of this stuff. And yeah, um, we'll see. Maybe I might try to pick up another anime, something short like this, where I can talk about each episode, at least something that's near and dear to my heart. Maybe some anime movies that are coming out. Definitely the Dragon Ball Z Broly movie next year in January, I believe, is when they're gonna have some U.S. theater releases. So look forward to that if you're interested in more anime stuff. this was just something I just needed to talk about because it is such a near and dear anime to me that I just need to talk about it. So hopefully you guys want to talk about some more too. Comments are always open, of course, and I'm always here. But till next time, guys. Later.